going on, guys? It's your man, Big Veg, your Rockarazzi Meat Ambassador. You already know what it is, man. I'm out here in New York, man, making sure you guys are tuned into the hottest show in Philly. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about Millennial High, okay? With my gym twin, Tia, you already know it is, head host over there, man, from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Y'all better get tuned into this dope show, man. Come on, tune in, y'all.
Hey, it's your girl, Tia High, the host of Millennial High, where the trend-setting millennial comes for motivation, inspiration, and deep conversation. On today's show, Cheyney University graduate and just like an all-around like dope guy. He's so awesome. Marcus Paul is in the studio today.
Hey, everyone.
He is one of the youngest candidates to run for the 2nd District State Senate. So let's get to know a little bit about the man behind the campaign and how he plans to make the 2nd a stronger district.
All right.
All right. And we have a new segment on Millennial High. Moselle.
Hi.
I have my girl Moselle. She co-hosts the show with me sometimes, and so happy that she's in the studio with me today.
I'm back.
She's
it's
back.
Your girl Momo.
So we have a new segment called Undiscovered. Basically just unsigned raw talent that Moselle just curates from social media, but she'll talk a little bit more about that. And in that segment, we have Emmaline. She's absolutely amazing. Moselle sent me her link. I'm like, what?
Yay, I
Her
cannot
voice
wait
is
for you guys to hear
insane.
this. Cannot wait.
So around 12:30, we'll talk to her. She's 19, and she's just super duper talented. A little bit about Millennial High. The show serves as a platform for those who want to inspire and provoke others to take action towards living their purpose in life. So if you have an inspirational, uplifting, thought-provoking message you want to share with the millennials of the world, I want you be on the show. Email me or message me on IG or Facebook at Millennial High, email millennialhigh@gmail.com, and let's connect. But first, as always, I love setting the mood for the show. And setting the mood for the show, to me, is like you're setting the intention of the show through music. I love music. So right now, I want to play a little bit of something from the Black Panther album, because I love that movie. Let's play Kendrick Lamar, The Weeknd, Pray For Me. And we are back. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to 106.5 FM in Philadelphia. I'm your host, Tia High. I have my girl Moselle in the studio with me.
I'm in the building,
And Marcus.
Hey.
Marcus Paul. He is absolutely amazing. I met Marcus at an event. I was speaking on a panel. I was for Brandon. Brandon is so awesome. And Marcus came up to me, and he's just amazing. I'm like, you got to be on my show. You got to be on my show. So Marcus was born and raised in Northeast Philadelphia, has lived in the 2nd Senatorial District all of his life. He attended Cheyney University, where he received a degree in political science. After graduation, he served as a legislative intern with a state representative in 2015 and has spent the last 2.5 years as a community organizer for a local environmental organization, Northeast Philly. Do you get it right? Marcus, how are you? And now he is running for state senate in the 2nd district. What is up?
Yay! Okay, I'm excited now.
So how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be here.
Good. So tell me a little bit about who you are and why you're running. Let's just get into it, right?
All
I don't
right.
waste any time.
All right, no problem. So,
Get to the business.
as you said earlier, I'm the youngest candidate running for a state senate in the state of Pennsylvania.
Oh, not just even just the.
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
Ever.
The youngest. Well, I'm not going to say ever, because the age requirement to run for state senate is 25, and I am 25. So, I am the youngest person. I am the youngest person running in this cycle, in 2018. There are other, 25-year-old candidates. There's a young lady who's running for state representative in the Northeast as well, but the age requirement is 21 and she's 25, so she's a little bit past
she's
that.
Not really right.
She's not, just
The
barely
super youngest,
at the
gotcha.
limit. But, I am, born in Northeast. My neighborhood's known as Feltonville. It's like smushed between Lawncrest and Frankfurt.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But, I'm the youngest of 5 kids. And ever since I was a little kid, I was like, my mom always said that I was born to serve. Because whenever somebody asks something of me, I go out of my way to do it. And, making sure that people are in their, best position to be successful. So, I grew up in a single parent household. A lot of love in my house. So, I always felt like I was nurtured to be the guy that cares for other people.
Yeah.
And, my first experience with politics was when I was 8 years old in 2000 with the Bush and Gore election. And, everybody in my house was going around.
I remember that.
Everybody in my house was going
only
around.
8?
Yeah, I was only 8.
Yeah.
Everybody in my house was going around like, my mom was going crazy like Gore won, Gore won, Gore won. And my brother was like, I voted for Ralph Nader. And I was like, and I was sitting there like,
The black sheep of the family.
I'm like, who are these
come
people?
from?
You
Yeah, right.
I'm like, who are these people? Who's Bush? Who's Gore? Who's Nader? So, that was my first real taste of politics. And I was like, why is everybody in such an uproar about this? And since then, it, kind of cultivated a need to want to know more. And, growing up through elementary school and high school, I had a really crazy liking for history and government. I wasn't the greatest student, but I always got straight A's in my history and government classes. So
You found your passion, yeah.
Yeah.
And when I got to Cheyney, the first thing I thought I wanted to be a teacher. I thought, what, the best way to reach young kids is to teach them, and what better way than being a young person myself and teaching them too. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go major in secondary education, and this is going to be it for me. And I found out that Cheyney cut their secondary education program the year before I got there.
Oh,
I was like, wow.
no.
Okay. All right. I'll major in history and then take my praxis exams after I get out of college. And the history program got cut 2 years before I got there.
Oh, no.
And I was like, well, what to do now?
Yeah, right.
The next best thing was political science.
Right.
So, I declared my major after my sophomore year. And it was really interesting because I met my mentor the year I declared my major. And he's been, more than helpful in everything that I've done, to get me to this point. And, going to a historically black college, I learned a lot of things about the political process that I don't think that I would have gotten had I gone to a school, or a predominantly, white institution. I don't think that I would have picked that up. I don't think I would have picked up the things that, benefit, certain communities and all communities. I think, historically black colleges do a great job of hitting all the points in the spectrum for all communities. And it was really great. So, the year before I graduated, I was managing at a Dunkin' Donuts. And my mentor, one of my professors, and my girlfriend at the time, they asked me this really interesting question. They're like, what are you going to do with your summer? I was like, I'm about to go back to Dunkin' Donuts.
Right.
That's easy income.
Right.
And they said, nah. This is the summer before you graduate. What are you going to do with your summer? And I'm, sitting in my room at home, and I'm like, what to do? And then I remembered through my state and local politics class, we did a project where we found out who our state reps were. And I found out that it was a gentleman by the name of James Clay. But that was in 2014. It's 2015. So I said, you know what? Let me look up who my state rep is now. And I found out it was state rep Jason Dawkins, who covers areas like Oxford Circle, Castor, Frankfurt, and Alney. And on a whim, I just got out of bed one day, walked into his office, and I said, I need an internship. And I spoke to his chief of staff.
You went
Initiative.
for it.
Yeah,
I took initiative.
initiative.
I took initiative, and I
that.
went in there and I said, I need an internship. And there was one of his interns there. He said, well, the rep isn't in today. Come back tomorrow.
And he did it in front of an intern.
Yeah. So, I went back the next day. I spoke to State Rep Dawkins' chief of staff. And he said, well, do you have a resume? I said, yeah. He said, send me your resume. I was like, okay. I sent him the resume. He was like, don't leave yet, because if I like your resume, I'll interview you right now.
Nice.
So
he must have liked something about you already.
yeah, so we sat down, we talked for about 30 minutes, and he said, okay, come back tomorrow. I was like, what do you mean come back tomorrow? He's like, oh, you're an intern, come back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Nice.
And that started the
Wow.
process. That started the process, and you know, I interned with State Rep Dawkins for 6 months, and we did a lot of things. I learned about the legislative side of being a politician, and I learned about the community aspect. I learned about how underserved communities are. I learned about how important it is, you know, how important it is elected officials are to people's daily lives. I see how much help you can offer somebody just by somebody coming into an office and you saying, hi, how you doing? How can I help you today? And they're like, my lights are about to get shut off. What can I do? And you just point them in the right direction. And it was really helpful, and it really touched me to say, wow, this is real change. This is how I can affect my community on a local level. You know, I always thought, how can I help the people in my neighborhood? And I always talk. Hey, I learned this in class. Now you learned this. Now I learned this. I'm telling you this. Now you got to go and, you know, make a change in your community. But if I know and I can put myself in a position to help other people know and help other people's lives improve, then, you know, why not? I learned.
Right. And that's
you and I talk about this all the
we
time.
do.
You just got to go for it, and then your life will change.
But do you know what's awesome about this,
Incredible.
about your story, Marcus, is that every time we interview someone, how mentors are so vital.
Yeah, very much.
Mentors are so vital because honestly, if it wasn't for that one question, what are you doing with your summer? No, it's not good enough to go back to Dunkin' Donuts. What are you going to do with your summer? What productive things will you do? And to me, that's a mentor. That I love that. Okay.
And
I love
even
this story.
starting with his mother and his siblings, and I mean, just that story from, you know, seeing the presidents and all that. I mean, it's just incredible that actually put you on the track that you were meant to be. Just all the things that lined up and all the things that didn't work out for you put you where you are now.
Yeah, and
I find that insane.
You know, it's really funny because I come from a family of immigrants. My mother and my father were born in Haiti. So, you know, my father came to the States in the 60s and my mom came in the late 70s. And, you know, they didn't get married until the late 80s, early 90s. I'm not entirely sure. They were married before I was born. So, but you know, I learned from them work ethic. You know, my mom always told me, my mom sacrificed a lot. My mom could have did whatever she wanted to do. She could have, you know, there are people out there that will put themselves before anyone else.
Yep.
And they'll do what they have to do to be successful and then forget about everybody around them. But my mom made sure she worked 2 to 3 jobs, worked 16, maybe sometimes she worked even, you know, 24-hour days. There were days when, you know, she went to work and she brought my sister and I and my niece with her to work because she wasn't going to be home in order to cook for us. So
Right.
learning that type of work ethic, learning that type of sacrifice to make sure that her kids are in a position to be successful and succeed, it was like a no-brainer to want to get my education, to want to better myself. And, you know, I've had my stumbles along the way. I've had health problems. You know, I have a heart condition that I didn't know was going to happen until I was that I was born with, and it didn't trigger in my body until I was about 21. So I've been in positions where I've fallen, but I keep getting up because I know that, you know, there's a purpose for me doing the things that I'm doing.
Right. You have no other choice.
And
Right.
just like you said, your mother did not give up.
Yeah, my mom
And
doesn't play any
you
games.
are following right in her footsteps
My
by
mom-
not giving up.
My mom says it all the time. I didn't come to this country for none of my kids to be successful.
Right. Well,
And
you're
just sit
there.
around.
Exactly. So then let's talk about then your family. So are they supportive in this venture?
Every single person in my family,
Love it.
whether you know, extended or, you know, close family, they are everybody. As soon as everybody in my family, the first person found out that I made the decision, like it was a family talk. I had my brother, my sister, I'm the youngest, so I had one of my older sisters and my mom sitting in the living room, and I said, guys, you know, I've been sitting back and thinking about it for a while, and I've really decided that I'm going to run for office. And without a hitch, they said, great, let's go.
What can we do to help?
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the issues. Let's talk about your platform.
Definitely.
So one of the issues I see, education.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your stance on education?
Well, to be 100% honest, I don't think anyone in the state of Pennsylvania should pay for a quality education. We have a state that is, in terms of wealth, is one of the richest states. In terms of average, income, we have one of the richest states in the union. We're in the top 10 in terms of, average income. The average person in Pennsylvania makes over $44,000 a year. I know everybody doesn't, but that's the average for most people. And when you have school districts like the Philadelphia School District, which is, in terms of population, a top 10 school district in the country, and you have so many schools that are failing, and for the past 16 years, the state has funded and provided the educational resources for the Philadelphia School District, and we see since 2013, 26 schools have closed in the city. That's a problem for me.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm a public education baby from pre-K through college. Mm-hmm. I went to girls' high school for pre-K. I did K to 8 at Thomas Creighton School, and I went to Northeast High School for high school. So and Cheyney University is a state-funded university. So I've been in public education all of my life, and it's very near and dear to me. And I see the struggles that the Philadelphia School District has. I see the struggles that the state schools have, and it's like, why are we putting ourselves in a position where our schools can't be properly funded when we have so many avenues to make sure that these schools are funded and funded properly? I believe in equity over equality. A lot of people think I hear every year in the governor's state address that they're increasing funding for education, but it's like, where's that funding going?
Right.
Because our schools aren't seeing it. So even though I am a progressive, and I do believe that the governor is doing what he can, I also believe that we need new voices in Harrisburg to fight the old establishment, especially in a state like Pennsylvania, where the Pennsylvania Senate is in something called a supermajority, where there are an overwhelming amount of Republicans in the House.
Yes.
And no matter what the governor does, the supermajority can veto anything that the governor signs, just because they have the supermajority. They don't have to reach across the aisle and get Democratic support.
Supermajority. So, education. What about our environment?
Our environment is very, very essential. And I didn't know how important our environment was until I started working with the environmental organization that I worked with. I'll give them a quick shout out. The environmental group is called the Tacony-Frankford Watershed Partnership. The reason why the name is so long is because it's one creek, but in three separate areas. It takes on 3 different names. So in Montgomery County, it's known as the Tacony. When it crosses over into Philly, in Lawncrest or the Lawncrest-Albany border, it's known as the Tacony Creek. And then when it hits Frankfort, it's known as the Frankfort Creek. And the reason why they stopped it as the Frankfort Creek is because Frankfort used to be its own township prior to the Consolidation Act of 1854 in Philly, which made Philly one big city. So I worked there for 2.5 years. We worked in conjunction with the water department. So we did a lot of community outreach for projects that the water department was doing and for our own benefit as well. So we did presentations at schools with, high schools, elementary schools. We did large community meetings throughout our watershed. And especially when we did, meetings with younger kids, younger generations, and especially younger generations living in poorer neighborhoods. And we would say, this creek flows to the Delaware River, and the Delaware River is where the city gets its drinking water from. And the kids are like, ew, ew, ew.
They don't ever understand.
And they're like, and it's like, do you know that this small creek is connected to our river, and this small creek helps keep the river that we have clean. So if our creeks, which we have 5 of in the city and 2 rivers, if we don't keep those waterways clean, then the water coming back to us, isn't going to be healthy. And I'm telling them, has anybody heard of Flint, Michigan? Right. And they're like, yeah, I've heard of Flint. And it's like, would you like our, and I don't like to say this, but it's like, would you like your water to supply to be similar to Flint's? And they're like, no. Well, who would?
Right.
Exactly.
And you sit back and you tell them, well, this is how we get this. This is how we get this done. The state gives funding to environmental agencies. But the problem is, in every budget for the last 14 years, the state has cut funding to environmental agencies.
It just blows my mind. It blows my mind that they do that.
So it's like, how can you say that? And then in the Pennsylvania Constitution, it states that every Pennsylvania is entitled to clean water clean air and pure water. Well, the agencies that are in place to make sure that our water is clean, you're cutting funding from. So they can't hire water quality testers. They can't hire other people that test pH levels and test the quality of our water to see that if it's getting better, if it's getting worse. You know, the Pennsylvania Environmental Council is on a hiring freeze. You know, so it's really tough. And you know, I stress it to a great amount because the 2nd District has 2 creeks. It has the Pennypack Creek and the Tacony Creek that flow through it. So that's 2 really huge creeks that are very vital, you know, that are flowing through the city. And it's like, I want to make sure that the agencies and the local groups, like the group that I worked for, have the right amount of funding so they can continue doing the great work that they do. You know, to inform and educate the community about how important these small creeks are, because even if you live in Germantown, you're connected to the Tacony Creek, even though it's in Longcrest and Frankfort, because there used to be creeks connected that ran through Germantown, but as the population in the city grew, the city took those creeks and turned them into sewers. So you may be dumping trash on your corner and it's going into the sewer, but that sewer is flowing to that creek. It may not look like it on a normal day.
Right.
That's, you know, on a normal day like today, it's dry out. There's no problems. All your water will go to the water treatment plant with no issues. But when it rains, the sewers can't handle that, and the city can't handle that. So what they did was they could have created a diversion system where that excess sewage would flow directly into those creeks.
So we know that he knows what he's talking about.
He does. I was going to say,
I
you
can
are a
picture it
perfect
now.
candidate. I love when you know exactly what you're talking about, you want to get things done, and there's nothing that's going to hold you back.
Not at all.
I love that in a candidate.
Not
Love
at
it,
all.
love it, love it.
Not at all.
So tell me, or just tell the listener, especially when it's time to go and vote, why should they vote for you?
Well, the number one, the primary election is May 15th. And unfortunately, I won't be on the ballot for that election anymore.
Why?
Because the senator who is in office sent a challenge to court to challenge my signatures. And
Really?
yes, she did. And that's a game.
No.
That's
Is there
a
a
game.
reason why? Do you know?
Every politician does it.
Why? It's time to stop.
To be, you know, there has been lawsuits that have, you know, tried to stop that. But as technology, you know, the age of technology has increased. In years past, when somebody, you know, challenged somebody's signatures, they would have somebody who would go through the state's voter registration database and look through everyone. It made it a lot difficult. But now it's like I can pull up a signature online, and I can see if somebody's registered to vote online. So I came up about
you though.
But
Why
not
are
even
they
that.
doing
But
it
hold
to
on.
you?
Like the fact that we know that can be possible, why would anyone even risk doing that? You understand what
Right,
I'm saying?
exactly.
So the point that now you're going to waste time and say, "Oh, hey, you know, I want to challenge this." It's like, why are you doing that? What point is that?
Why him? Like, why are they?
you know, to give you the honest reason.
Yes.
The honest reason
We
is
want to know the real.
the honest reason for me is I
Exactly.
believe that when people are complacent with the position that they're in, they don't want to leave, so they'll do anything in their power to stay where they are. And I'm not gonna say that's a bad thing, but to get back to why people should vote for me is because I'm a new young voice. You know, the senator for my area has been in office all of my life. I'm 25. She's been in office since 1994. And the look of my community, the look of the neighborhoods in which the 2nd District, you know, fall in haven't gotten better.
Right.
They haven't gotten better. For 24 years, we've had one voice. And I do not think that that voice is capable of doing the job anymore. If I thought she was still able to do the job, I wouldn't run for office.
Exactly.
I've talked to kids in my community. I've talked to kids. I've talked to adults. And the biggest thing for me is when I was out getting signatures the first time and petitioning to put my name on the ballot, I said, "Hi, I'm running for state senate, and you know, do you know who your state senator is already?" Most people who are active voters said no. And I said, "There's more to voting than just going inside a voting booth, hitting a straight Democratic ticket or hitting a straight
Right.
Republican ticket and walking out of the
Right.
booth."
I think that's what
I don't
probably
like that. I don't-
happened.
That's what
I
most
never-
people
Yeah.
do. And another thing is,
That's exactly what
she
they do.
hasn't really been challenged with opponents. She's been in office since 1994, and there's been maybe 4 or 5 elections since, and she's only been challenged once prior to me trying to challenge her this year.
And did
So
she do the same thing to that
Yeah, she did the same thing to a few opponents in the past.
That's just a strategy. It's just a strategy that they have.
Yeah, it's just a strategy that most politicians have, so they don't want, if they're not in the mood for competition, since they're already in office, they have the funds to make sure that person is knocked off.
But that's the perception. Like when you said that, Marcus, like instantaneously my mind went to, okay, they don't want to leave, they're afraid. Right? Because to me, why waste time and energy? No, but that's not right. It's called progress. You have to progress. The world, you can't have the same leaders in power forever. It just doesn't work that way. Sometimes you need to gracefully step down.
Exactly.
Or welcome
Especially
competition.
If
if you're doing the right thing, you'll welcome it. You won't block it.
That was what I was thinking.
That actually just made me really mad.
If you truly want to do what's best for your city, you absolutely
and the people, you
invite somebody in who can help.
Exactly. Why would you stop that voice from speaking? Why would you try to silence a voice?
Unless it's like a money thing or
that really like just riled me up.
It does not. I would welcome you in a minute.
Exactly.
Here.
It's like, okay, let's go. Let's see what you have. It's the challenge. It's a challenge on Black Mirror. He's like, let's go.
Or it's like a pride thing, too, right?
Listen.
I think it's more pride than
you're
anything.
awesome. No, Marcus is awesome. It's 12:30. We're gonna take a break. We're gonna come back with Emmaline. She's actually been holding this entire time. She's absolutely amazing.
She's a trooper.
She is. She really is. So when we come back, I want to play this song that I heard. Okay, so Netflix has Moselle, me and Netflix. But what they did is, so they played it's this movie. It's a Honey. It's like the Honey franchise, right? Do you remember the movie Honey?
I do remember
with
the
Jessica
movie
Alba?
With Jessica Alba. With Jessica Alba. So what they did was they had Tiana Taylor come in, and I heard this song off the movie, and it's actually a really good movie. It's a cute dance movie. I don't know. But this girl is awesome. Her name is Reese. And I'm going to play her, and then we're going to come back. We're going to talk to Emmaline, and then we are going to close out with Marcus, and that's the show, you guys. But stick around, hang around. I'm going to play No Vacancy by Reese. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to Millennial High on 106.5 FM in Philadelphia. I have Moselle as co-host and Marcus. We were just in like this really heated conversation right now because I am still floored about this entire process about contesting signatures and throwing. I mean, that can be an entire show. I can't believe it's happening so much to young voices. Okay, so we're back, and we are going to introduce someone. And actually, she was on mute. Emmaline is here with us, and Moselle.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Good. Thanks so much. I totally appreciate you calling in, being on the show.
Hanging on.
And Moselle, it's all yours.
Okay, so let me explain how this segment came about. For years... It's called Undiscovered, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
So, okay. So for years I've been finding artists that, some of them have been known in other countries, but not necessarily known in America. And for instance, artists like FKA Twigs or Dua Lipa, I've known them before America's even known their name. And then there's artists that I follow on YouTube and been following for years, like a girl named Rozzy. She's got this amazing soulful voice and a fantastic spirit, and I have been following her for so long. And I said, one day she'll get her light. And then out of the blue, Adam Levine walks in, and he's like, I'm going to take all the credit for discovering her, when I'm like, I found her, 5 years ago.
Wait, and can I tell you? Okay, so Moselle and I, we text all the time. Like, one day you have to like scroll like 100 times just to see the beginning of the day. But so she's frustrated. So she texts me. She's like, Tia, I can't believe this.
I can't do this anymore, Tia. I find these artists and I don't get the credit. when they get signed, so Adam Levine signs this girl, and I'm like, Tia, I'm tired of doing this. I find all these artists, I don't get the credit for it. So she comes to me and she says, well, let's do a segment called Undiscovered. You just throw me some artists that you have been following for a while, and you'll get the credit that you finally deserve.
Awesome.
Wait,
I was like,
so we
done.
have Emmaline, right, online, and Moselle sends me her YouTube link to her YouTube. I think it was the Amy Winehouse cover, and I was like, "Whoa, who
Right?
is this?" It's like
See?
she's not on a record label right now, and you're like, "No." I'm like, "What?" And I'm like, done. Like, she'll be our first one. And then I'm like, wait a minute, she's not getting enough love. But then I follow her on IG, and I'm like, okay, she's like 30,000 followers. It's like, okay, so she's good. She'll be good, I'm sure. And she's 19. Beautiful singing voice. Hey, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how just as your music career evolved.
Well, music's in my family, and my dad is a jazz pianist. And so I grew up around music, and I started playing instruments when I was 4. When I was 3, I was like asking my parents for a violin, and they were like, "Oh, she's only 3. Like, she doesn't really want to play the violin. She just thinks it would be fun," and then she would never actually like do anything with it. But like I asked them consistently for like a year, and finally when I turned 4 on my birthday, they bought me a violin. And that's kind of how it started. Like I played with professional symphonies when I was 16.
Wow.
Like I was hailed as like a child prodigy in a lot of newspapers, and I kind of decided that that wasn't really the route I wanted to go, because I played classical music and I was in orchestras and I was a soloist and stuff like that. And I kind of decided that wasn't the route I wanted to go, because I've always identified as more of a singer, and I've always listened to R&B and jazz and soul. And I just like completely changed directions my sophomore year of college.
Did you always know you could sing? Is that something you always knew you had?
I've always been like that girl that everyone was like, "Oh my God, like why aren't you like auditioning for American Idol?" When I was
right.
You know what I mean? Like I always was a really good singer, and that was always something that came really naturally to me. But like,
Yeah, we can tell.
because I had been hailed as like some kind of prodigy on violin, and I was achieving all this success at like a super young age, I like felt kind of pressured to go that route, even though it wasn't where my heart was.
Right.
So finally, like, I mean, really, it's only been a year that I have been able to pursue what I really am passionate about, and I have grown substantially. Like, last year at this time, I had like 1,000 followers on my Instagram, and now I have 50.3K.
Exactly.
So it's just like, it was really validating to me to be like, oh, wait, like, I can be successful at what I'm actually passionate about. You know what I mean? Like, this wasn't a mistake, like, completely changing instruments and going in a different direction.
And you know what, too? It was just believing in yourself enough, like, knowing that you're good. I think it's just the knowing that you can... Listen, doubt, and like just thinking that, okay, because everyone thinks I'm great at this, I must do it always.
Right.
But, and I feel like I love how at a young age, like Marcus too, they just knew what they wanted to do at a young age. So talk about Shy, your new single.
Oh, yeah. So basically, I started writing that song at the beginning of this year. I was in Florida, kind of on a mini tour over my winter break from school, and we went and we played like 16 shows in like Georgia, Florida, Alabama, and we hit like major cities. Like we played in Atlanta and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I was on a tour, and I was trying to write as well as play a show every single night. Like, we played like 16 shows in 18 days or something.
Wow.
We had like 2 days off. We were playing every night. But I was, like, convinced, because I was so busy with school, I didn't have much time to write, and I was like, I need to write a new song. Like, I haven't written a song in a couple weeks. Like, I really need to focus on this. So I started writing, and the first line that really, like, stuck out to me that I wrote down was the first line of the song, which is, beautiful, you wear that smile so well.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of, like, I wanted to write a song that was kind of empowering, like, women, but also like a song that's empowering people that are introverted, because I am very introverted and I am kind of shy, and so
Really?
I wanted to write a song that would sort of be like an anthem and like something that people could relate to who maybe aren't as outgoing and like straightforward, you know, as other people. So that was my goal in writing the song.
Well, we love it. So we're going to play it right now. So stay on the line and let's hear a little bit of Emmaline, Shy.
Beautiful, you wear that smile so well. You know that I'd love to tell you, but I am far too shy to say something like that. Something like that. When our eyes meet, electricity pulses between us. You know that I'd love to kiss you, but I am far too shy to do something like that. Something like that. You are the rainbow after the rain. You're my sunshine on a cloudy day. How can I describe what you do to me? Oh, how I wish I wouldn't act so nervous around you. You know that I'd love to tell you that I might be a little shy, but I'm in love with you. You're my sunshine on a cloudy day. How can I describe what you do to me? Oh, how I wish I wouldn't act so nervous around you. You know that I'd love to tell you that I might be a little shy. Oh yes, I might be a little shy. Oh, you know that I might be a little shy, but I'm in love with you.
And we are back. You're listening to 106.5 FM in Philadelphia, Millennial High. You just heard Shy by Emmaline, and she's on the line. Are you still with us?
Yes.
Awesome.
We're gonna have to.
I really love that song, and I love the last lyric. I love your closing. I love that.
I was
don't
just
know
gonna
why.
say that she says I'm in love with you, but I was gonna say I'm in
Yeah.
love with that song.
yeah.
And we have to smack Tia on the hand because it's Emmaline, and she keeps
Emmaline.
saying Emmaline.
Oh, come on.
And I just want to say that when you finally get a record deal, you can please tell them that I found you first, just so that I can get
Okay. I definitely
kudos.
will.
We got to remind everybody that she's only 19.
She's only 19, you guys. Yeah, totally.
You have an incredible voice.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, no
Thank
problem. I had a question. Is your single available for purchase on iTunes
Yeah.
or Android
It's
Music?
on iTunes, and it's also on Spotify.
Okay.
So those are like my two favorite ones, but it's also on everything. Like it's on Apple Music and like basically anywhere that you can like download or stream music, it will come up. If you look up Emmaline, which it's spelled Emmaline, just like it sounds, Emmaline, and then Shy. It should come up just on any like music streaming or downloading platform.
Nice.
So what is next? Actually, I was looking on your page, and I see that you're actually coming to town, right, in New York.
Yeah, I'm coming to New York, which I'm really excited. It's my first time. I've never even been to New York, so I haven't ever played a show there either. So it's going to be like my debut in New York City, which I'm really excited about.
Ooh.
And
We have to link up.
When is that? When is that? What day?
it's on May 21st, and the link to the tickets is in my Instagram bio. So if anyone listening wants to get tickets to it, we only have a couple left. It's almost sold out. So I think we have around like 15 tickets left, and the link to those tickets will be in my bio on my Instagram, which is Emmaline Official. There's no space or any underscores or anything like that. It's just Emmaline Official, and you can get your tickets from the link in my bio.
How does that feel? You've never
You
come
can
to New
call
York
her
before.
manager, Moselle.
You've never come to New York before, and your first show is almost sold out. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I know. It's super exciting. Well, like, it was funny because I have just been getting tons of requests, like, in the comments on my posts or in my DMs and stuff, and people are like, come to New York, you really should come to New York. And, like, I had gotten it so many times that I was thinking, I could probably sell out a show in New York, like, if I came to New York. So it was like really strategic, and like we wanted to take our time with it. But then once we found like what we felt like was the right venue and everything like that, we just went for it. And I sold like 30 tickets in an hour, and I was like, okay.
I believe it. With that voice.
Yeah, with
my
that voice,
goodness.
I know.
We have to link up somehow. She's so close.
I know. I know.
You're not so close, where you actually are right now. You're not so close. So
Well,
we gotta
thank
link
you.
up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, we'll chat beyond via email or something. But thank you so much for gracing the show. I'm so happy that you're on it. And so I just want to say thank you. We have about 10 minutes left. Do you see how fast it goes?
Time flies when you're having fun.
But thank you so much. I totally appreciate it.
Emmaline is awesome, and I cannot wait to Facebook stalk you, Instagram stalk you. Like I already have been.
And then Adam Levine is going to come around and
he's
sign
going
her.
to take you, and I'm going to be like, Tia, I'm going to send her 1,000 text messages. This is happening again.
No, so what's going to happen is that Adam, all he has to do is listen to Undiscovered, and then he'll say, okay, done. Okay,
Can't do this anymore.
No, you kind of do, because then you can
heart-
curate music. You're great. See, Moselle,
now it's recorded, and I have proof.
because Moselle sings.
true.
She's a singer.
Oh, no. Not like her.
No. Yeah, but you kind of sound, but you're good. Okay, so thank you so much. And Marcus, any last words?
Sure. Of course. I said sure. Of course, if you want to be involved in our campaign, because this isn't my campaign, this is our campaign. It's a campaign to make the 2nd District a better place and making Pennsylvania a better place in a, sustainable Pennsylvania for future generations. If you want to get involved, you can, follow me on Facebook and see some of the progress that we're doing. And my Facebook page is Marcus Paul 4 FOR, not the number 4, Senate. And I have my Instagram page and my Twitter page, which is both Marcus I. Paul. We're doing a lot of great things. So if you want to get involved, you can visit my website as well, because we're always doing great things, and we always need more volunteers and people that are committed and passionate about making, getting involved in politics and being educated about their local politics. My website is marcuspaul4pa.com, and you can learn a lot of great things about me. You can learn why I'm running. You can see where I stand on my three biggest issues, and you can also volunteer. Those are the 3 biggest things for me. Our education, our environment, and making sure the second is stronger, because we've done a lot of, I'm not saying that the senator who has been in office has done a bad job, but I will say that, I think that it's time for new people and new leadership in our area.
For a fresh voice.
There's for a fresh voice. I say that because there's been a lot of turnover in our area, a lot of the landscape of the politics. There are newer, younger politicians. A lot of the older politicians are retiring because they've been in office for 25 plus years. So, I think it's necessary that we find a new voice to bring to Harrisburg, and have people know that there's somebody who's young, energized, and willing to go to bat for them at any moment. Somebody who is dedicated to being in the community as well as being in Harrisburg, fighting and scratching and clawing, making sure that everything that's coming into the second district is beneficial, and everything coming to, Philadelphia is beneficial.
Awesome. And Emmaline, you still there?
Yes.
Okay. Any last words for you? Where can the listener find you?
Well, like I mentioned, I'm really active on Instagram. I post covers of music, or I'll post live clips of my original songs. On my Instagram, I post almost daily. It's Emmaline Official. My YouTube is also Emmaline Official, I believe. But my Facebook is also Emmaline Official. And then if you want to listen to my original music, it's all available on any music streaming platform that is out there. And if you just look up Emmaline, Emmaline, and then type in Shy, you should see a picture of my face, and you can listen to the song.
I just followed you on Instagram right now as we speak, so follow me back so I can get more credit. And don't forget, I'll send you my email address and my rates.
I love her. Okay, so thank you so much. I appreciate everyone coming to the show today. You guys are awesome. As always, stay lit, love, inspired, and true. And I want to play this one song. It's called Artie Boy, as Flight Facilities, because I love some EDM. So, and they're so awesome, and actually they're coming to Philly. So I'm gonna put it out there in the universe, sit down and interview with them. You know what I mean? Talk about Artie Boy featuring Emma Louise. Come on over. So, little Artie Boy, this is my song. All right, here we go. Bye.